Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in August 2025. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to provide an overview into your examination. Some of you might be coming through the exemption routes and this might be your first CIMA case study examination. So it's essential that you understand the technicalities behind your exam and also understand what the examiner expects from you. So in the first part of today's webinar, I'm going to cover these technical elements. And in the second part, I will be taking you through an 8-week study plan. And if you stick to the study plan, you can conduct your preparations in the most efficient manner without any stress, because rather than waiting until the last 2 or 3 weeks to start prep, it's essential that you start right now, which will give you enough time to attempt the 6 mocks which we have developed, along with giving you enough time to conduct your revision appropriately. And if you take steps to improve your skill set across 8 weeks rather than waiting until the last moment, then you can ensure your pass at your upcoming examination. So these are the two elements which will be covered in today's webinar. And before we get into the technicalities, let me quickly remind you of the upcoming webinars and workshops which we have scheduled for you. The pre-scene analysis webinar is happening next Sunday at 9 GMT or 10 AM UK. So in this pre-scene analysis session, I will be taking you through the industry dynamics as well as the internal dynamics of your chosen company, Leother. If you had gone through the pre-scene document already, you would have felt that this pre-scene is quite hard compared to the previous pre-scenes. Yes, I will agree with you. But once you get your grips with what's highlighted within the pre-scene, you will realize that, this pre-scene is quite similar to previous pre-scenes. It's just that you are not too conversant with this industry. You are not too conversant with Leother, how a satellite manufacturer operates. So that's quite all right. We have, developed certain resources with the intention of ensuring that you gain an in-depth understanding of what this time's pre-scene is all about. So you need not worry. We have covered all elements. So we have decrypted the pre-scene info in such a way that you can easily grasp an understanding of what this company and its industry is all about. So all these things will be covered in the pre-scene analysis webinar, which happens next week. And the most important webinar out of the 4 webinars is the third one, in which I'm going to teach you answering and time management techniques. So make sure to attend the third webinar for sure. Even if you miss out on the remaining set of webinars, make sure to attend the third one, because in it, as I mentioned earlier, after teaching you answering and time management techniques, I will take you through one of the mock exams, thereby highlighting how you should implement these answering and time management techniques in a practical sense. So, and in the 4th webinar, exam prep, I will be taking you through examiner's comments, because it's essential that you understand what the examiner expects from you. And at the same time, I will share stress management techniques with you, because rather than being stressed at your real exam, it's essential that you, whenever you are attempting your mock exams, that you practice stress management techniques, because as per the CIMA examiner, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application. The examiner is also testing whether you can manage stressful situations, essentially given the fact that the examiner replicates or tries to replicate a real life corporate environment in your examination. So if you are to become a management accountant, you should have the knowledge, and at the same time, you should have the capability to manage your stress levels. So that's why purposely the examiner is trying to create a stressful situation at your exam. So rather than facing these stressful situations for the first time at your exam, it's essential that you experience stressful situations when attempting mock exams. If so, after attending the 4th webinar, you will know how to tackle stressful situations. And once we are done with the webinar series, we are kickstarting our workshop series, starting with the F3 workshop, followed by the P3 and E3 workshops. So in each of these workshops, I will be taking you through the relevant syllabus areas covered in your F3, P3, and E3 pillars. And at the same time, I will take you through a mock exam concerning each of these pillars. Also, in each of these workshops, I will be conducting a Q&A session as per our study plan. By the time you are attending these workshops, you should be done with at least 2 or 3 mock exams, and definitely you will have questions. I'm always ready to help you guys out within each of these workshops. And in the final workshop, which happens 1 or 2 days before your examination, I will share last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into the exam with a high level of positivity and confidence, believing in your skill set. Because as per the CIMA examiner, if you believe in yourself, if you're confident, then you will pass this exam for sure. So all these weekly webinars and workshops will be conducted free of charge. So make sure to attend them live. And at the same time, this is the best way to keep tabs about your performance on a weekly basis and get all your questions addressed in each of these weekly webinars and workshops. All right, so having said that, let's look at the pathway to SCS. So there are a set of students who are coming through the CIMA general route. So these are the type of students who have completed their OTQ examinations, E3, F3, and P3 OTQs. Since they have completed their OTQs, they are well versed with theoretical knowledge or the theoretical concepts which appear within the E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. On top of that, if you are a student who is coming through the general route, you would have completed your OCS and MCS exams. So you have a sound understanding of how your knowledge is tested in a CIMA case study examination scenario. So if you are such a student who is coming through the general route, you will not struggle a lot because you are conversant with how this exam is conducted, how your knowledge is tested, and at the same time, since you are conversant with all theoretical concepts and elements, it's simply a matter of improving your application skills when conducting your preparations. As opposed to someone who is coming through the general route, if you look at those who are coming through exemption routes, such as the CGMA, C-Suite, and FLP programs, then you will struggle a bit in this examination. I don't want to demotivate you, but I have to be honest with you. You will struggle a bit relative to someone who is coming through the general route. Why is this the case? Because you need to learn theoretical concepts, especially concerning the F3 and P3 syllabi. You will be conversant with E3 because in most master's programs as well as professional qualifications, strategy development related knowledge will be shared with you. So you will be conversant with your E3 syllabus, but when it comes to P3 and F3 syllabi, you will struggle a bit because definitely you will have knowledge gaps. And on top of that, you will struggle a bit with application because in this exam, it's not about developing highly theoretical answers. Instead, it's all about applying the theoretical knowledge which we have gained via E3, F3, P3 when developing your answers. I will explain all these things in depth in a little while when highlighting what your responsibilities are. Then you'd realize why I'm saying these things. So for the moment, what you need to realize is if you're coming through an exemption route, you need to learn theoretical concepts with the intention of overcoming knowledge gaps, and you need to spend a lot of time in your preparations to improve your application skills. However, you need not worry. We have developed special resources which are specifically focused on those who are coming through exemption routes. So if you stick to our study plan and utilize the resources which we have developed, then you can easily overcome your knowledge gaps and significantly improve your application skills. So these are the pathways to SCS. So irrespective of whether you are coming through the general route or the exemption routes, we have developed resources to make sure that both these sets of students have the same chance of passing the SCS examination. All right, so let's look at your examination. This is a PC-based exam. You can attempt the exam at home or you can attempt it at an examination center. If you are experiencing power shortages regularly and if your internet is not too stable, then go attempt the exam at an examination center. Because when you are exposed to technical difficulties at your examination, it will throw you off your exam strategy. And this will create undue stress levels, which is not too good because it's not easy to attempt the entire exam by sitting in one place across 3 hours. So on top of that, if you experience technical difficulties, then unnecessary stress will set in, and this will lead to sometimes this might lead to a failure at the examination, because it's essential that you get everything covered, not just your knowledge. You need to cover all the technical elements when preparing for this exam. So if you're experiencing any issues with your internet connectivity or your electricity or your power, then don't attempt the exam at home, attempt the exam at an examination center. And looking at the time allocation of the entire paper, you will be expected to sit in one place and attempt the entire exam across 3 hours. And your paper is divided into 3 main tasks or 3 main sections, and the time allocation of each section is 60 minutes. So let's look at how your typical paper is structured. So I'm going to take you through mock exam 1. As you can see in here, there are 3 sections within this paper, just like in your real examination. And the time allocation for each section is 60 minutes. And in each section, you will see 2 or 3 subtasks. So in this paper, there are 3 subtasks each. However, at your exam, in certain subtasks, you might see just 2, in certain sections rather, you might see just 2 sections, and in certain 2 subtasks, or in certain sections, you will see 3 subtasks. And that's exactly what you can see within this paper as well. There are 3 subtasks: subtask A, subtask B, as well as subtask C. All right. And, let's try to understand how your knowledge is tested. So as I mentioned earlier, the examiner tries to create a real-life corporate environment or replicate a real-life corporate environment, because the examiner is trying to ensure that you are capable of operating within a real-life company in the most successful manner. So that's why, you are not getting a highly theoretical paper. Instead, your knowledge is tested in a practical sense. That's why you see, an email which you'd receive. You can see it in here. You are receiving an email from your CFO, and your role is that of a senior finance manager. In a little while, I will tell you what you are expected to do as a senior finance manager, what your responsibilities are. And this email carries a subject which is relevant for it. And then there's some information shared with you via the scenario. And on top of that, a requirement is highlighted. And similarly, some additional information is presented, and a requirement appears, and again some information is shared with you along with a requirement. On top of all these things, you will gain access to some type of reference material. So at office, when you receive an email, if the sender of the email wants to share some additional information with you, he or she will attach a certain document or a set of documents. So that's exactly what you can see in here as well. So there's a body which appears as part of your question, which is the scenario, which sets the tone for your requirements. And along with the question's body or the scenario, you will get additional information via a reference material. Okay. And on top of that, you can see that there are weightages provided for each and every subtask. So the weightage provided for subtask A is 30%, subtask B it's 20%, and the weightage concerning subtask C is 50%. So these weightages indicate mark allocations. So in the third webinar, Answering Technique, I'm going to teach you how to determine mark allocations based on these weightages, because it's essential that you understand how many marks are dedicated for each subtask, because based on these mark allocations, you are supposed to determine how many points you need to include within each and every subtask. When you stick to such a process, you are ensuring that you are developing answers which are totally aligned with mark allocations. Therefore, your answers are not going to be too short or too long. All right, so all these things will be taught in depth in the third webinar. Okay, so that's that. This is how your question looks like. And after that, when it comes to developing your answer, you need to develop something like this, which is known as an answer plan before you type out your final answer in paragraph form. In a little while, I will show how a final answer should look like. Before we move on to the final answer, before I show you a final answer, I will explain how you should plan out your answers. So at office, when you receive an email which carries a lot of information, before typing out your response, you will spend some time to plan your response. You will try to figure out whether you have considered all the information which you received via the email. You try to figure out whether you are addressing the requirement at hand. And at the same time, you will try to spend some time to structure the answer in a way that it is easily understandable or understood by the person who is receiving the email or the person to whom you are responding. Okay, so similarly, at this examination, before you develop your final answer, you need to spend some time to plan out your answer. This is when you are structuring your answer. This is when you are ensuring that you have considered all the information which was shared with you via the scenario. This is when you are ensuring that you bring in pre-seen info with the intention of adding value to your answers. And at the same time, you are trying to figure out whether you can bring in any theoretical concept which you have learned via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi with the intention of further enhancing the quality of your answer. So you need to spend some time to develop something like this, an answer skeleton or a mind map. And after developing this mind map or the answer plan, you need to expand the answer plan or flesh out your answer skeleton in paragraph form. So your final answer should look like this. As you can see, the entire answer is in paragraph form. You can't see any bullet points or single line sentences because as per the CIMA examiner, if you provide answers in bullet points or single line sentences, you are not going to get any marks. Instead, you need to provide answers in paragraph form, and each paragraph should consist of 2 to 4 lines. Okay, so that's exactly what you can see in here. So this is what you expected to do, and I will explain how to develop these answer plans and how to expand these answer plans in the third webinar when I'm teaching you answering technique. And the pass mark for your examination is 80 out of 150, or in as a percentage, it's 54%. So in order to pass this exam, you need to score 80 marks or more. However, if you stick to our study plan and conduct all the preparatory work in a disciplined manner, then you can easily score much more than 80 marks. Most of our students who end up sticking to the study plan score more than 95 marks at their real examination. All right, so you can achieve a similar feat if you are disciplined enough to stick to our study plan, which I'm going to explain in a little while. All right, so then let's try to figure out what your role is or what your responsibilities are as a senior finance manager. So as you know, you are playing the role of a SFM or the senior finance manager. So as a senior finance manager, you are dealing with your board members directly. You are directly reporting to the CFO. Therefore, you are involved with strategic decision making. So the name of your case study is the strategic case study, which indicates the fact that you are reporting to board members. That's exactly what you are supposed to do. So as an individual who is reporting to board members, you need to adopt something called an outside-in approach. So what is an outside-in approach? This is a situation where you need to think in terms of how your decisions are going to impact various different stakeholders and how your decisions are going to impact your external environment. So yes, you need to think about how your decisions are going to impact the internal dynamics of your chosen company. But first things first, you need to think in terms of how your decisions are going to impact your industry and the major stakeholders. So you need to think in terms of, okay, if I arrive at this decision, how it will impact your shareholders firstly, because they are the most important stakeholders of your company. Then you need to think in terms of how your customers are going to react to your decisions, how competitors are going to react to your decisions. And on top of that, you need to think in terms of how your supplier relationships will be impacted due to what you are doing. and at the same time, how it will impact your competitiveness when operating within this industry. So you are reporting to the board members who are at the strategic level of the organization. So these are the individuals who will set the long-term direction of the company. So you need to think about how your decisions are going to impact the upcoming year, 3 years, and 5 years of your company. So that's what you are expected to do as a senior finance manager. So there's a lot of decision making expected from you. You should have the capability of evaluating various different strategic options. And at the same time, since you are playing the role of a finance manager, you need to be conversant with your numbers as well. So just decision making won't help. You have to make sure that your decisions are financially sound at all times and are aligned with the financial standing of your chosen company. And at this stage, a higher level of application and practical thinking is expected. So if you're coming through the CIMA general route at the OCS level, a high level of prominence was provided towards testing your theoretical knowledge. Decision making is not tested at the OCS level unless and otherwise you are supposed to suggest KPIs. At the MCS stage, there's a good balance between theoretical knowledge and testing theoretical knowledge and decision making, because 50% weightage is provided towards testing your theory knowledge and 50% of weightage is provided towards testing your decision-making skills or your application skills. And at this stage, since you are a decision maker, you need to be conversant with your theories, but it all comes down to your application skills. The examiner is trying to figure out, okay, is this individual capable of applying the theoretical concepts he or she has gained via his or her E3, F3, or P3 syllabi. So theories are definitely tested, because if you are to come up with high quality answers, you need to utilize theoretical concepts. For instance, if there's a question tied to stakeholder analysis, the examiner highlights about certain stakeholders, with whom we are dealing at the moment, and you are expected to highlight how we should manage stakeholders. Okay, so let me quickly show you a typical question tied to, let's see whether this mock exam carries a question tied to managing stakeholders. Yes, recommend comprehensive strategies for Leother to effectively manage stakeholder pressures created due to environmental issues. So when addressing this type of a question, it's best practice to utilize the knowledge which we have gained via your E3 syllabus concerning the Mendelow's matrix. So as per the Mendelow's matrix, you are supposed to categorize each stakeholder before trying to manage them. So when it comes to categorizing these stakeholders, you need to consider the level of power of each stakeholder as well as the level of interest. Based on their level of power and interest, you categorize stakeholders into quadrants, and then you come up with appropriate mitigatory strategies. So that's how you should utilize your theoretical knowledge when developing answers. When providing an answer, you can come up with a practical answer for this type of a subtask, yes. But if you stick to a theoretical concept, you are taking steps to provide a holistic answer rather than providing a half-hearted answer. And if you look at another question, let's see whether there's another question which is intended to test your theory knowledge. Okay. So this type of a question, for instance, evaluate the ethical considerations of allowing competitors to license Leother's satellite deorbiting technology. Consider how sharing this technology aligns with or contradicts the company's mission, vision, and values. So this type of a question tests whether you have gone through your pre-scene and whether you are really well versed with pre-scene information. So if you are blank about what your mission, vision, and values are, and if you try to go through the mission, vision, and value of your chosen company during the exam, you will end up losing a lot of time. So rather than doing all these things, it's essential that you gain a good understanding of the mission, vision, and values. That's exactly what you can see in here. So, this is the annotated pre-scene which we have developed for you. So on top of the normal pre-scene, you would see tutor annotations onto the right of your screen. And as part of these, the objective of developing these annotations is to ensure that we summarize the entire pre-scene so that you can easily understand what appears within your pre-scene document. And also, in addition to these summaries, we have conducted our own analysis as well, thereby highlighting any shortcomings concerning the mission, vision, and values of Leother. And based on it, we have also highlighted probable exam scenarios which can be tested at the exam. And when developing our mock exams, we have made sure to cover all these probable exam scenarios. Okay, so that's exactly why you have to be conversant with the pre-scene document. The best way to be, fully aware of what appears within the pre-scene is to get your hands on the annotated pre-scene and watch the pre-scene analysis videos which we have developed for you. All right, so this tests your understanding about the pre-scene, and all these questions are practical. And then let's look at section number 3. Yes, recommend with reasons how we should finance the initial escrow setup integration cost of $200 million and the annual escrow management fee of $5 million. So this tests your understanding about financing options concerning debt and equity financing, which appears within your F3 syllabus. So when developing the answer, yes, you can come up with a practical answer, but as I mentioned earlier, in order to make sure that you are developing a foolproof answer, a holistic answer, it's best that you utilize the knowledge which you have gained concerning finance options as part of the F3 syllabus. And then, so all these are practical questions. So you can see that in the questions, there's a good mix of, practical as well as theoretical type of questions. Even when addressing theoretical type of questions, you can come up with a practical answer, but as and when necessary, you need to utilize the knowledge which you have gained via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. So theories are tested. So if you have knowledge gaps, then you can't pass this examination. And also at this exam, your application skills are heavily tested. So your practical decision-making capabilities will be tested or evaluated at this examination, especially given the fact that you are involved with decision-making, long-term decision-making of your chosen company. All right, then looking at the exam, information is provided about a fictitious company in advance via a pre-scene document. So as I showed you previously, you will gain access to a document such as this, which gives you an indication of the industry, the company's internal dynamics, as well as the financial standing. So that's exactly what you can see here. At the inception of your pre-scene, there's an introduction, and then there's some mention about your chosen industry, and then the pre-scene highlights what happens within your chosen company. So there are extracts from your annual report. There's an indication about the type of management within the company, the type of executive directors and non-executive directors, along with information pertaining to board responsibilities and the type of committees within your board committees within your company. Then there's an indication about the principal risk report, which highlights the type of risks the company has identified, along with the type of mitigatory action adopted by the company. So you have to understand whether all type of risks are considered within the risk report, whether there are any shortcomings concerning the risk report of Leother. And on top of that, out of the identified risks, you need to have the capability of figuring out whether the company had developed appropriate mitigatory strategies. And if there are any shortcomings, you are supposed to, come up with recommendations to bridge these shortcomings. And, extracts from your financial statements as well as your competitors' financial statements will be shared with you. Why is this the case? Because you need to understand where your company stands in a financial sense compared to its closest competitor. And there's an indication about share price history, as well as the beta value, because when taking decisions, you need to think in terms of how your decisions are going to impact the share price and whether your decisions are aligned with the existing beta value of your of the share of your company. And at the very end, additional information is shared with you via news stories, and via these news stories, the examiner is actually sharing hints about the type of scenarios which can be tested at your exam. Okay, so let me quickly move to these news stories. These are at the very end of your document. So for instance, if you look at the last, I'm not going to take you through all the news stories. If you look at the last news story, which is shared with you, it gives us an indication about a probable scenario which can be tested at your exam, which is about the space junk charter regulation which had come into play. And based on it, some information is shared with you. And you have to understand how this information can be tested at your exam. That's why we have highlighted the probable exam scenarios, and tied to these probable exam scenarios, you need to understand how various different syllabus areas can be tested at the examination. So if you try to decrypt the pre-seen information on your own, you will struggle a lot. You'd waste a lot of time. You simply have 8 weeks at your disposal, so you don't have time to waste. So it makes your life easy when you gain access to this type of a document, which is the annotated pre-seen. And when developing the 6 mocks, which we have completed, we have made sure to cover all these elements, and our mock exams are totally aligned with the news articles which appear within the pre-seen, because based on each news article, a scenario will be developed at your real examination. All right, so that's how your knowledge is tested. And when addressing these questions or requirements, you are supposed to consider about the strategic direction or the long-term survival or direction of your company. And when testing your knowledge, the examiner is trying to figure out whether you have gained an appropriate level of knowledge about the company and its industry. Because as a senior finance manager, as I told you earlier, you need to be conversant with how the industry is going to be impacted by your decisions, and how your decisions will impact the internal dynamics of your company. So you have to have a good understanding of the entire pre-seen. And at the same time, the examiner is testing whether you are capable of applying the knowledge which you have gained via your E3, P3, and F3 syllabi. So you have to be conversant with the theoretical concepts. And on top of that, you have to be conversant with how to apply these theoretical concepts, considering the information shared with you via each scenario. Also, you have to be conversant with what appears within the pre-seen as well. So with the intention of ensuring that you are constantly reminded of the most important points highlighted within the pre-seen, we have developed a pre-seen mind map, which will be shared with you free of charge after the second webinar, next week's webinar. After I'm done with the pre-seen analysis, I will share this document with you. And on a daily basis, your job is to go through this document from top to bottom, with the intention of constantly keeping yourself reminded about what appears within your pre-seen. When this is the case, when you do this, you are taking steps to ensure that you are constantly reminding yourself of what appears within the pre-seen. If you do so, you need not do anything else to memorize pre-seen info. We have covered it for you. If you memorize pre-seen info, if you gain a good understanding about the pre-seen at the exam, there's no point of wasting time to go through the pre-seen document, because you know everything by heart. Okay, so these are the resources you have to utilize in order to pass your examination. And let's look at the to-do list. In the upcoming 8 weeks, what are you expected to do? First things first, you have to watch the pre-seen analysis videos, because before you start attempting mock exams, you have to be conversant with your pre-seen. So with that in mind, watch the 3 pre-seen analysis videos which we have developed for you. As I mentioned earlier, your pre-seen is divided into 3 main parts. So likewise, we have developed pre-seen analysis videos concerning each part of your pre-seen. And once you have watched these videos, you will gain an in-depth understanding of what appears within your pre-seen. And once you're done with it, read the annotated pre-seen on your own, thereby conducting your own revision. After doing so, you have to kickstart your mock practice. So you have to practice 6 exam standard mock exams which are pre-scene specific. So you might be wondering as to why you need to attempt 6 mock exams. Why can't I attempt just 2 or 3 mocks? Well, if you had referred to past exam variants or past papers, you would have seen that the examiner has developed 6 different variants or 6 different papers focused on each pre-scene. Why is the examiner developing 6 variants with the prime objective of covering the entire syllabus? So the examiner cannot cover the entire syllabus by developing just 2 or 3 exam variants. So that's exactly why the examiner is forced to develop 6 different variants. And on top of that, if you look at your pre-scene document, there are 6 main themes which appears as part of your news articles. So focused on each theme, the examiner is expected to develop a variant. So the examiner tries to achieve 2 objectives. He or she wants to cover the entire syllabus when developing the papers, and on top of that, he or she wants to cover the 6 themes or scenarios which are highlighted within the pre-scene. So when conducting your preparations, it's essential that you replicate a similar methodology. That's why you need to practice 6 mock exams. If you are planning to attempt 2 or 3 mock exams, then you will definitely face shocks at your real examination, because certain theoretical concepts which you are not too conversant with might be tested. If so, you'd end up losing a chunk of your marks. And on top of that, if you're not too conversant about a certain theme which is tested at your exam, then chances of you passing becomes extremely thin. So in order to avoid all these disappointments, you have to make up your mind to attempt 6 mock exams. And when attempting mock exams, it's not about referring to past exam variants or past papers, because past exam variants are based on different pre-scene documents. So the internal dynamics, the external dynamics, as well as what appears within the financial statements are totally irrelevant to the current pre-scene. And when you conduct preparations based on a totally different pre-scene, you will be misdirected, because the way in which certain theoretical elements can be tested is totally different based on pre-scene info. And at the same time, the themes, the 6 different themes which can be tested at your exam is quite different to the 6 different themes which were tested concerning a previous pre-scene document. So when practicing mock exams, you have no way out. You have to practice 6 mocks which are exam standard and pre-scene specific. And also, you need to attend live webinars and workshops. As I mentioned earlier, this is the best way to keep tabs about your performance on a weekly basis. And if you have questions or concerns, you can get them addressed within each of these webinars and workshops. And also, you need to refer to a set of slides, the industry analysis and financial analysis slides. So let me quickly show you what these slides look like. So our industry analysis slides comprise of 4 main parts. In the first part, we have defined your industry. And in the second and third parts, we have explained about the competitive landscape and industry trends. Based on these industry trends, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. And at the very end, we have explained how real life companies operate within your chosen industry with the intention of making sure you gain an in-depth understanding of what actually happens within your chosen industry. So I've seen students wasting a lot of time to conduct industry analysis, trying to figure out what happens within the real life industry. What happens within the real life industry has nothing to do with your examination, because as I mentioned earlier, your knowledge is tested via a pre-scene which is based on a fictitious company which operates within a fictitious industry. So don't waste time to conduct your own industry analysis. We have done it for you. Simply go through this set of slides within 10 to 15 minutes, then you will gain the necessary amount of knowledge about what happens within this industry. And similarly, we have developed a set of financial analysis slides as well. So we have evaluated each financial statement in depth, yet making sure to keep things simple so that you can easily understand what appears within each financial statement. So we have evaluated the SOPL and the SOFP, as well as the statement of changes in equity. And at the very end, we have conducted a ratio analysis. As a senior finance manager, it's essential that you are conversant with all these ratios and what it tells you about your company. So again, we have evaluated each ratio in depth to make sure that you gain a good understanding about the financial standing of your chosen company. So in the upcoming 8 weeks, you have to go through all these documents. Then it's essential that you go through the top 20 issue slides as well, which indicate the most probable syllabus areas which can be tested at the exam. And we are also sharing theory recaps with you. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you were struggling with a certain theoretical concept, don't waste time to go through bulky study texts or your old notes. Simply refer to the theory recaps in a jiffy. You are in a position to brush up your theoretical knowledge or improve your theoretical knowledge by referring to these revision cards. And again, and also you are supposed to watch 15 pre-recorded masterclasses in the upcoming 8 weeks. So as I mentioned earlier, we have developed 6 mock exams. So the answer explanations concerning mock number 1 will be covered via the 3rd webinar, as well as the 3 workshops concerning your F3, P3, and E3 syllabi. Since we are covering these elements, we have not developed masterclasses focused on mock number 1, but from mock number 2 up until mock number 6, covering these 5 mock exams, we have developed masterclasses, 15 masterclasses in total. Why 15 masterclasses? Because in each paper, there are 3 sections, as I mentioned earlier. So 3 sections into 5 papers come up to 15 sections in total. So focused on each section, we have developed a masterclass. And the objective of, conducting these masterclasses is to make sure that you understand the logic behind each answer. And at the same time, you learn the relevant theoretical concept covered within each mock exam. Also, you understand how you should improve your application skills. Because at this exam, as I mentioned earlier, your application skills are tested heavily. So if you learn theory in isolation, you will struggle to figure out application. So the best way to learn theory as well as figure out application is to watch these masterclasses, which are 100% based on the mock exams which we have developed. So in a jiffy, you are in a position to learn theory and improve application, which are, since these masterclasses are totally aligned with the mock exams which we have developed. And also, you are supposed to refer to the answer plans concerning mocks 1 to 6. These are answer skeletons or study summaries which we have developed focused on each mock exam, which makes your life easy. Because when you try to understand the logic behind each answer by going through suggested answer, it's not easy. Instead, when you have access to these answer plans, you can easily figure out the logic. You can easily figure out how theoretical concepts should be utilized when structuring your answer. And at the same time, you can easily figure out application. And also, we offer personalized tutor feedbacks from mocks 3 to 5. Let me show you the type of feedback we offer. So as you can see, we have evaluated each and every point highlighted within this answer. And if there are major shortcomings, we highlight them as well. So throughout this answer script, we have highlighted the shortcomings. So it's essential that you understand your shortcomings when conducting preparations, because if you don't take steps to overcome these issues, then at your exam, you will struggle to gain a lot of marks. So, this is the type of feedback on offer. And at the very end, we provide mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. Not just marks, we indicate a success rate as well. And by looking at this success rate, you can easily understand the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So after receiving this type of feedback, when conducting revision, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. So this student has gained just 33 marks. As you can see, if you look at the success rate, in almost all the subtasks, the success rate is below par. All right, so you can gain a good understanding of what your shortcomings are when you receive this type of feedback. So this is your to-do list. You might think that there's a lot on your plate. Yes, that is the case. However, we have developed a study process in which you are not supposed to spend a lot of time. You are supposed to dedicate simply 9 to 10 hours of study time per week. So if you start right now, you will have enough time to attempt all 6 mock exams and conduct revision. And if you do so, you will start relaxing closer to the exam when all the other students are scrambling for time. So in a little while, I'm going to explain how you should manage your time appropriately when I'm taking you through the 8-week study plan. Okay, so the important dates which you need to be aware of, exam entry closes on the 5th of August 2025, which is a Tuesday. So if you're planning to sit for the SCS exams happening in August, you have to book your exam before the 5th of August, because beyond this point, you can't book the examination. And the exams are from the 20th of August to the 22nd of August. So what I'm recommending you to do is, if you had made up your mind to sit for the exams happening in August, book your exam right now. Why am I asking you to do this? Because if you book your exam right now, you will find, you can easily find time slots. Or else, if you wait until the last moment, you will have to do your exam at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and whatnot at ungodly hours, which is not going to be easy on you, which leads to stressful situations. Because when practicing your mock exams, if you practice them towards the evening, and at your real exam, if you have to do it early morning, then you will struggle a bit. So rather than running out of time slots, it's best that you book right now so that you can select your time slot easily. And on top of that, when you book right now, you will commit to the study plan. Because if you wait until the last moment to book your exam, you will realize that you are running out of time, or you don't have enough time at your disposal. When this is the case, you will postpone your sitting to November. And in November, you would do the same thing, and then you'd try to attempt the exams happening in February. So what is the point of delaying your examination when you can pass your exam in this sitting and say goodbye to CIMA? I know for a fact that this is a stressful examination. This is not easy. Even me as a student, I struggled a lot with this examination. This is one of the most hardest exams out there. So it's essential that you are done and dusted with this exam as fast as possible. So, complete your qualification by August. And if you want to do so, commit yourself right now. If you commit yourself, if you book the exam, you will start your preparations right now. And if you do so, you have enough time to ensure a first time pass at your real examination. All right, so having said that, before we move on to the 8-week study plan, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the SCS page. If you are yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create a free user account. When you have access to a free user account, you'd gain access to our student dashboard. Via our student dashboard, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops we conduct. On top of that, you will gain access to the first mock exam, its suggested answer and the answer plan, along with the pre-seen mind map and the syllabus coverage document. Also, you have the opportunity of attempting mock exam 1 under exam conditions via the exam platform which we have developed. So at TCS, we have developed an exam platform which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system on which you'd attempt your real examination. So we have, spent effort and time to develop the exact replica of the Pearson system to make sure that you have the opportunity of practicing your answering, time management, and stress management techniques when attempting each and every mock exam. So under the free content, you have the opportunity of attempting mock number 1 under exam conditions via our exam platform free of charge. However, don't attempt mock number 1 right now. Wait until we are done with the 3rd webinar, in which I'm going to teach you answering techniques. So first learn answering and time management techniques, then attempt mock number 1 via the exam platform free of charge. And if you're interested in investing on our paid content, click on this button and check the sample material before you invest. And if you're yet to join our SCS WhatsApp discussion forum, click on this button and join it. Via this forum, we will keep you guys informed about the commencement dates and times of the weekly webinars and workshops. Also, we will be sharing hordes of free content via this WhatsApp group. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can always get in touch with me. I'm happy to help you guys as and when necessary. And talking about what we offer two packages, the essential course and the premium course. The essential course is designed for those who are coming through the OTQ route or the general route. So since you have done your OTQs, you are extremely conversant with all theoretical concepts. So your job is to simply improve your application skills. So under the essential course, you'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops conducted on a weekly basis. You will gain access to the 6 mock exams with suggested answers. And as I mentioned earlier, we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas when developing these 6 mock exams. You will gain access to the pre-scene analysis videos. After watching these videos, you'd gain an in-depth understanding of the entire pre-scene. You'd gain access to the annotated pre-scene industry and financial analysis slides, which you saw a little while back. You'd also gain access to the top 20 likely issue slides and the case study familiarization kit. Once you go through this familiarization kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you will gain an in-depth understanding about the technicalities behind your exam. You will also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So as this essential course is designed for those who are coming through the coming through the general route, after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you were struggling with a certain theoretical concept or you can't remember a certain theoretical concept, simply refer to the OTQ revision cards and brush up your knowledge in a jiffy. So the essential course is priced at £299. And talking about the premium course, this is designed for those who are coming through the exemption routes and those who had failed the SCS exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So with the intention of bridging these knowledge gaps and fixing issues with application, we have developed some additional resources on top of what appears within the essential course. So you'd gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all mock exams under exam conditions, which is the best way to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. You will receive one-on-one tutor feedback on 2 mock exams, namely mocks 3 and 5. This is the best way to understand your shortcomings and take steps to overcome them when conducting revision. You will also gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams and 15 masterclasses, and the best way to learn the entire syllabus and the best way to learn how to apply these theoretical concepts when developing answers, and the best way to learn the logic behind each answer is to watch these 15 masterclasses. So you just have 8 weeks at your disposal. If you try to learn the entire all syllabus areas within 8 weeks, you can't achieve it. And at the same time, if you try to figure out application on your own, you will struggle a lot, especially given the fact that you don't have an understanding of how to do this in a successful manner. So simply watch the master classes to learn theory and improve application in a short period of time. So the premium package is priced at £849, which can be paid in 2 installments of £424 each, or you can opt to pay in full. If so, you'd save £100 and the price is just £749. So you can invest on your preferred package on clicking on either of these buttons. All right, so having said that, let's move on to the last part of tonight's session, which is the 8-week study plan. All right, so you can access the 8-week study plan within the website itself. So click on this button to access the 8-week study plan. As you can see, as the name suggests, our study plan goes on for 8 different weeks, and we have indicated the study hours which you need to put in on a weekly basis. So usually you need to put in just 7 to 9 hours rather per week. In the 3rd week, you need to put in 12 hours of study time. So the most hectic week is going to be the 3rd week. Other than that, in all other weeks, if you can put in just 7 to 9 hours of study time, you can easily pass this examination. So let's try to figure out, sorry about that. So let's try to figure out what you are expected to do in week number 1. So in week number 1, which is this week, you need to dedicate 8 hours of study time. So within this week, you are supposed to refer to the OTQ theory recaps, thereby brushing up your theoretical knowledge. And if you are coming through an exemption route, simply go through the revision cards concerning the E3 syllabus. because since you have already learned strategy development related knowledge, simply go through the E3 syllabus, because you can always learn P3 and F3 related concepts when you watch the master classes and when you conduct revision, and go through the SCS familiarization kit within this week as well. And in week number 2, you have to focus your attention towards your pre-scene document. So watch the pre-scene analysis videos. First, attend the webinar, then you'd understand how to utilize your pre-scene document. Then watch the pre-scene analysis videos on your own. After doing so, refer to the annotated pre-scene, read through the annotated pre-scene by yourself, so that you revise your knowledge once more, and refer to the industry and financial analysis slides, thereby gaining further understanding about your pre-scene document. So as I mentioned earlier, the second week is dedicated towards decrypting pre-scene info. Once you have understood about the pre-scene, then you have to kickstart your mock attempts. And in week number 3, wait until, don't attempt any mock exams until we are done with the third webinar answering technique. After learning answering and time management techniques, attempt mock number 1 via the exam platform. So when attempting mock exam 1, try to figure out whether you are capable of implementing the answering and time management technique which you have learned via the third webinar. Definitely you will run out of time. You will be exposed to tremendous amounts of pressure. You will be exposed to complexities. Or I want you to experience all these things when attempting mock exam 1. Why is this the case? Because rather than facing all these problems for the first time at your real examination, it's essential that you encounter these problems when conducting preparations. If so, you can take steps to avoid them, and at the same time improve your skill set in the upcoming 8 weeks. So attempt mock number 1, then focus your attention towards attempting mock number 2 via the exam platform. That's why, since you have to attempt 2 mock exams within week number 3, you have to dedicate 12 hours of your study time. Other than that, it's just a matter of attempting a mock exam per week. So after attempting mock exam 2 via our exam platform, watch the 3 master classes to learn theory and improve application. Once you have learned theory and application, test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans focused on mock exam 2. So you should adhere to a 3-step process when attempting mock exams. So step number 1 is to attempt the weekly mock exam. Step 2 is to watch master classes. This is when you realize what you should have included within your answer. This is when you are learning your theory and application. After you have learned theory and application, you need to test for yourself that you have gained the appropriate amount of knowledge, whether you are capable of coming up with the same type of points when you are redeveloping the answer plan. So that's you getting involved with revision. After you have redeveloped the answer plan, compare your fresh answer plans to TCSs to further improve your understanding of whether you are capable of replicating or developing answers which are akin to TCSs answer plans. So similarly, in week number 4, you should dedicate your attention towards mock number 3. So attempt mock exam 3. This is when you are practicing your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Once you are done with the mock exam, watch the 3 master classes to learn theory and improve application, and redevelop answer plans on your own, thereby conducting revision. And for mock 3, since you are receiving tutor feedback, refer to the tutor feedback document, and based on the mark allocations and the success rates which we have indicated on a subtask by subtask basis, again redevelop answer plans focused on subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. And in week number 5, focus your attention towards mock number 4. In week 6, focus on mock number 5. And in week 7, focus on mock number 6. And if you stick to the study plan, by the time you are in week number 8, you are done with all mock attempts, you are done with revision. So in the last week leading up to your examination, you can start to relax. When all other students are trying to find time, when all other students are doing everything under the sun, when they're trying to attempt mock exams, when they're trying to revise, when they're trying to go through the theoretical concepts, or when they're trying to improve their theoretical knowledge and application skills, you are relaxing. And this type of relaxation is going to be essential at your examination, because it's not too easy to sit in one place 3 hours at a stretch and operate in a time pressured environment. Take it from me, when you attempt mock exam 1, you will understand what I'm talking about. You will be somewhat okay with section number 1, but by the time you are in section number 2, fatigue sets in. Fatigue leads to stress levels, and extreme levels of stress leads to brain freeze. If you had done this exam previously or any previous CIMA case study examination, it could be OCS or MCS, you know what I'm talking about. When you experience brain freeze, you can't think, nothing comes into your mind. You will either start to sweat profusely, or you will try to feel extremely, you will feel extremely cold. So all these issues, you'd experience all these issues at your real examination if you're not prepared. So in order to avoid all these shortcomings, finish off all your work by the 7th week and relax during the 8th week. And this will ensure that you walk into the exam with a high level of positivity, with an open mind, believing in yourself. And when you are relaxed closer to the exam, you will be relaxed during your exam as well. Because I've seen students right before attempting their examination, they are going through mock exams. I've been to examination centers and I've seen what students are up to. They are going through their study notes, their study texts, they are going through mock papers, past exam variants and whatnot right before walking into the exam. This indicates the fact that they are stressed. And when they are stressed before the exam, they will be stressed during the exam as well. As opposed to these type of students, if you stick to our study plan, you can start relaxing. If you are relaxed before the exam, you will be relaxed during the exam as well. Why am I saying this? Because your exam is as if you are walking into office on a Monday. So in order to function properly on a Monday, you have to be relaxed, calm and composed during the weekend. If you were up till late during the weekend, if you were exposed to extreme levels of stress, and if you didn't eat on time, if you didn't sleep on time, then can you function properly on a Monday? You can't. You will fall asleep. You will be stressed on Monday, which impacts your performance. So likewise, think that you are walking into office on a Monday, and if you are to function properly, you have to be well rested. So that's why you need to finish off all work by the 7th week. If so, you can take steps to relax during the last week, which leads up to your examination. So within this final week, attend the final workshop in which I'm going to share last minute tips with you, and I will be motivating you 2 or 3 days before the examination. And within the last days, refer to the answer plans concerning mocks 1 to 6. This is the best type of revision you should be involved with. When you are referring to these answer plans, it's as if you are going through the entire syllabus one last time. You are reminding yourself about how to apply these theoretical concepts when developing your answers one last time, and reread the annotated pre-scene, thereby trying to make sure that you remember the most important points which are highlighted within your pre-scene. And stop preparations a day or 2 prior to the examination. Sleep, eat and rest well. So if your exam is on a Tuesday, you have to stop all your work at least by Sunday. Take your Monday off. This will work wonders for you. When all other students are stressed a day before the exam, when all the other students are trying to do everything under the sun on the day of the exam, you have started relaxing. If you have time, take 2 days off before your examination. So if your exam, ideally, if your exam is on Tuesday, finish off all work by Saturday. Just attend the final workshop. Then after that, refer to the answer plans and read through the annotated pre-scene one last time. Other than that, don't do anything else. Take a break on Sunday and Monday. When you are relaxed, you are walking to the exam with an open mind. As a decision maker, you have to have an open mind. You cannot be narrow-minded. Instead, you have to think in a practical sense. you need to develop answers which are totally aligned with each scenario. In order to do so, you need to achieve a high level of open-mindedness, and the best way to achieve it is to take a break closer to the exam. If you had studied top performing athletes, you would have understood that they put in all the hard work, and stop all the hard work at the inception when they are preparing for a meet or a sport event, and 1 or 2 days before their sport event, they take a break. They are taking steps to relax themselves. So I want you to do the same. If you are relaxed before the exam, you will be relaxed during the exam. If not, you will be stressed. And if you're stressed, you won't pass this examination. And when attempting mock exams on a weekly basis, how are you supposed to do it? Well, keep Mondays out, because don't attempt mock exams on Mondays, because Mondays are usually hectic at office. Attempt a single mock exam on a Tuesday, for instance. So attempt the mock on a Tuesday, then on Wednesday, watch the master classes, and on Thursday, redevelop your answer plans. And by Friday, you will receive tutor feedback. And once you have received tutor feedback, redevelop answer plans as and when necessary. And relax during the weekends. During the weekends, simply attend the weekly webinar or workshop. Other than that, don't focus on your CIMA studies. I want you to be involved with your family members, spend time with your loved ones, and at the same time, I know for a fact that you are carrying out your household chores during the weekend. So, lead a normal lifestyle, just like what you do right now. Conduct your household chores during the weekend, spend time with your family members, and during just 3 days per week, focus on your studies. So attempt the mock exam on Tuesday, watch the master classes on Wednesday, and redevelop answer plans on Thursday. That's the only thing which you need to do on a weekly basis. Other than that, everything else is handled by us at TCS. And if you stick to such a study process, you are making sure that you are attempting a mock exam on a weekly basis, which gives you enough and more time to conduct your revision appropriately. Because you can't pass this exam simply by attempting the mock exams. You need to make sure that you understand what you should have covered in the answers. Therefore, you need to spend some time for revision. That's why it's essential that you need to attempt mock exams on a weekly basis, rather than trying to do all these things in the last 2 or 3 weeks leading up to the exam. Because if you start your prep in the last 2 or 3 weeks, yes, you will have enough time to attempt all 6 mock exams, but you won't have time to conduct your revision. So just because you attempt the mocks and watch the master classes, you will not improve your skill set. Your objective should be to improve your skill set, and the only way to improve your skill set is to pre-develop answer plans. All right, so I hope you'd stick to the study plan, and by doing so, you are conducting your preparations in a relaxed atmosphere. By doing so, you are taking a break during the last week, which is essential, and by doing so, you are taking steps to ensure that you are conversant with all syllabus areas. You are investing time to significantly improve your skill set. If so, you can achieve a first time pass at your upcoming SCS exam. All right, so that's why we achieved a 90% pass rate in the past examination, which ended in February 2025. And most of our students who stick to our study plan, although the pass mark is 80, they end up achieving more than 95 marks. So in last time's session, the highest scorer achieved 110 marks out of 150. An individual who was coming through the exemption route. This was the first CIMA case study examination. So if such an individual who is coming through the exemption route, who is attempting a CIMA exam for the first time, can achieve 110 marks in the first sitting itself, you can achieve the same if you are disciplined enough to stick to our study plan. So I hope you'd start attempting, or I hope you'd start sticking to our study plan, thereby starting your preparations right now. If so, you can easily pass this examination. Having said that, we are moving to the Q&A session. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can switch on your mic and talk, or drop us a message via the chat. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks, thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. If you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email during office hours. And you can directly email us as well via info@study@tcs.com, or simply drop us a message via the WhatsApp number. And I urge you to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops will be uploaded to our YouTube handle. And via TikTok, you'd gain access to 6 videos, which is a pre-seen mind map. So watch these 6 videos from today until the day of your examination, so that you constantly keep yourself reminded of what appears within your pre-seen document. Also, I urge you to read our blog post, which we have developed concerning your company, which is Leother. So go through this blog post to gain an understanding of the most important points highlighted concerning your company, its external and internal dynamics. So the concluding thought is to approach SCS as an opportunity to learn rather than an exam to pass. That is why I said that it's essential that you conduct your revision with the prime intention of improving your skill set, because your examiner tests your knowledge in a practical manner. The examiner wants to figure out whether you are skilled and capable of becoming a management accountant in any given organization. If when you're done with this qualification, you can start your own business as well. So if you want to become a successful businessman or a businesswoman, you have to take steps to improve your skill set. So this should be your objective, not simply to pass this examination. And having said that, it brings us to the end of the first webinar, which we have conducted in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams, focused on the exams happening in August 2025. I hope you gain a good understanding of the technicalities behind your exam and what you need to achieve in the upcoming 8 weeks. I hope to see you next week when I'm conducting the pre-seen analysis, thereby taking you through the internal and external dynamics of your chosen company, Leother. So thank you very much for joining us. I'll see you guys next week at the pre-seen analysis session. Thank you and take care.